So hi everybody, welcome to another edition of NTI PodTalk. Today we are here talking to Michele Coslett. She's been a student at NTI for about 2 years, and she's here to give us a perspective from a student's point of view about NTI and what we offer and what she's liked about it. So Michele, welcome. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to share.
Good. So how did you find out about NTI and what made you choose to come here as your school of choice for nutrition education?
Yeah, so I have a friend that was a nurse at the time, and she had another friend who had just started at NTI, and she knew I was looking to change careers. At the time, we had just found out that my husband was pretty sick, and it was a lot of layers of sickness. So he had Lyme, he had mold, he had celiac, he had you name it, he had it. And one of the things that was working at that time, he was working with a nutritionist, and it just floored me how quickly things started to change for him. Not with everything, of course, all at once, but he really started to see some improvement, and a lot of that was due to nutrition. So I was already doing this amount of research daily, trying to help him. And I thought, maybe this is the path. Maybe this is what I need to do. So yeah, so her recommendation, I started digging, and I really wanted to come to NTI. I looked into dietetics. It was a very lengthy program, but it was also how do I put this delicately? I guess I don't. The people that fund those programs are big food and big pharma, and I was not interested in that. That was probably what got my husband sick in the first place, and a lot of others I think are starting to wake up to that. So I didn't want my education to be through that filter of of their guidelines. The my plate, the all of those things. So I knew there had to be another way, and I just didn't want to settle for that. And I stumbled across NTI.
Great, good.
Yeah.
Well, we're glad you're here, and very glad to hear your reasons for choosing NTI, because that's obviously, one of our strong points, that we do teach from a holistic perspective. We don't have any, you funding from big industries, food or pharmaceuticals. So it was great. So what have been some of your favorite courses so far?
So the whole aspect of just everything we get to learn is so incredible, and I've loved everything. But some highlights for me that kind of bring it all together. I feel like we keep talking about the same things, but from a different angle, which is really kind of exciting for anyone that feels like this might be overwhelming. You start with the filter of anatomy and physiology and biochemistry, and then you take some of those same concepts and principles and you put them through the filter of the next course. And so you don't have to feel so overwhelmed with that. You're just looking at the same information from a different lens. And some of the ones that really brought it home for me were pathophysiology. I
Mhm.
thought that was really helpful. Digestion and detox. So, what can we do about it? My internship, I know that's not a part of the restructured program anymore, but I would highly recommend that you set up your own, if because I learned so much in just working with people day to day and seeing real people with real problems, and putting it all into practice was really incredible for me. And then let's see, what did nutritional endocrinology. I just finished that and really, really loved that as well. So.
Yeah. Well, so a couple of things. So first of all, you hit on another key point about how we structure our curriculum, and that is we have a spiral curriculum. So you learn something, you learn foundation, and then you build on it, and then you build on it, and then you build on it. And as you say, you're experiencing some of these same concepts throughout the curriculum, in multiple courses, but from a different perspective, and also to add layers on top of the foundation.
Yes.
So I'm glad you recognize that. And then also the digestion detox, the pathophysiology, nutritional endocrinology. Those are definitely the courses where you get into the pathologies that people are dealing with and the nutritional strategies. So those are definitely very common courses of interest and excitement for people. And then thank you for mentioning the internship. So internship, you're right, is no longer required as part of our curriculum, but we do still continue to offer it as an elective for people who would like to do that. And you're right, it does give really good hands-on experience if that's something that someone chooses to do. So
Yeah. And it
thanks.
offers so much flexibility, I think, to really, that's your chance to try it out, right? Like, why not go in the area that you think you're interested in? Because you might find that absolutely that was the right choice for you. And you kind of then focus your learning the rest of the time towards that goal. But you may find that that's not at all what you really wanted to do.
Well, there you go.
So it's really helpful. Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Really.
Good. Good. Well, so as you know, we have several different ways that we provide our curriculum. We do in class, we have online. Our online program has two different ways of doing it, group start, independent start. So what kind of delivery options have you engaged in, and have you found sort of pros and cons of each of those, and kind of what's your experience with that?
Yeah, so I've actually done all three, and so I can speak to all of them. The classroom courses, I'm local to Denver, so I can go into class, and that's really wonderful. It's a 3 hour chunk of time per class, but wow, do you get to get into it? You go through the presentation slide by slide with an instructor that usually has some pretty interesting comments to add to every slide. So I just love that. It's always like a round table, right? To get the information, but also have just these brilliant minds that weigh in on each and every slide. And then it is it's a chance for Q&A too at the end of every class. So that was really helpful. But I know not everyone's local, obviously, and can't get there in person. And so for my life, I'm a mom of two, um, busy all the time. So I did the online option for that purpose as well, and was able. I'm not doing anything else but NTI right now, but I even with my busy life as being a mom, it offers a lot of flexibility, so I can do all of the other commitments that I have and just fit it in when I can. So, and then the group start online is a great way if you have to be remote but need that little push to stay motivated. There are deadlines, and that's true for all the courses, but it's a little more structured. So if you need that push to what do I need to do this week and get it done, yeah, that's available. So.
Okay, good, good. Well, those are all the exact reasons why we offer the three different options, is for the flexibility. So I'm glad you got to partake in all of them and experience all of them. So I know that you said that you came to this, uh, to the program to study nutrition because of health conditions with your husband. Is there a particular subject or topic that has really resonated with you that you think that maybe you want to specialize in once you graduate?
Yeah, so nutrition for celiac is really, we saw that as an underlying condition. To It was exacerbating his mold exposure, was exacerbating Lyme disease, and just wreaking havoc on his gut. And a lot of people out there, I think, still are undiagnosed or underdiagnosed and don't realize the seriousness of it. And it's not all just about elimination either. There are other things that need to happen. So, and I love helping people. It's that touch point. It's near and dear to my heart. My kids are also gluten sensitive, so we have a gluten-free household, and I really enjoy seeing how much better people can get in a short amount of time through elimination, and them not feeling scared to do that. You know, our budget obviously around food had to change, and that can be a little daunting for some people. I would say our increase, well, the average increase for celiac is anywhere from 40 to 200% increase, right? When you change and you get less for your money, this tiny loaf of bread and things like that if you choose. So, but helping people through that, I really have a heart for that. I have a friend that's going through it right now. Her daughter was just diagnosed, and she's, throwing her hands up in the air like, I didn't really even know this was a thing. What do we do? And just getting them calmed down and walking them through step by step. It's totally possible, especially here in Colorado. So yeah, so that's one area near and dear to my heart.
Good, good. Um, and I'm glad that you mentioned both celiac and gluten intolerant, because celiac, I think, is just a small portion of gluten intolerance.
Yes.
So it's much wider than the narrower group of people who have celiac. So
Yeah, I love to explain it as a spectrum, right? Like gluten sensitivity is this spectrum, celiac being on the end of that spectrum, but then celiac itself is a spectrum. And, depending on where you lie will depend on your protocols and what you need to really be careful of. So, yeah.
yeah, so you mentioned that your house is a gluten-free house. Have you made other dietary changes based on your education that you're getting here?
Yes, we're our own guinea pigs throughout the process, right? So I think one little tip is, and you're going to do it anyway, but you're going to think you have everything that you learn about probably, and try different protocols and different things. But I actually found out that I had SIBO through the process. And so one of my classes, I was trying out the specific carbohydrate diet, and it was really funny how I started to feel differently through that process. And so I went and had myself tested with my naturopath, and lo and behold, I had both types, which is really kind of a bizarre thing, but I've been dealing with that for the last year. So yes, I think you find out a lot about yourself. And the part that I struggle with, if I'm being completely transparent, is that we want to be role models for our clients. And I think the only way to do that is to look at whatever issues you might have with food yourself. And it makes you a better nutritionist. To see what your relationship with food is, and how that correlates, and what you're doing with food, so that you can realistically help other people with their food. So yes, my diet has changed, not tremendously. We were pretty healthy, but I think we've definitely made tweaks and twists and have gotten even healthier. So that's wonderful.
Well, good. That's a good testament to the impact of diet.
Absolutely.
So have you're in the home stretch here, getting ready to complete your education in a couple of months. Have you thought about what you want to do with your certification? How do you plan on using it?
Yeah, so I see entrepreneurship later down the line. That seems a little daunting to me still. I'm really glad though that NTI speaks to being an entrepreneur, if that is, and really sets you up for tremendous success if that's the route that you want to take. But for myself, I like having the buffer of other brilliant minds to bounce things off of. So I see myself working in an office type setting, probably functional medicine. Those have been the people that have had the biggest impact with my husband. And I love that there's not this confined time limit to work within the constraints of conventional medicine. So it's kind of let's try anything, but I would rather, especially being super green and just stepping out there, have a few people that I could maybe bounce some ideas off of. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Good. Well, I'm glad that you are keeping your options open and have some good ideas about what resonates with you. And things change, right? So you choose one route and you get your turn less green, get some experience, and then that opens up a whole realm of other opportunities. So that's good.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Have you thought about taking the NANP board exam after you graduate?
I have. It was one of those things I told my husband at the beginning of all this that I wanted to go all the way. And so that was on in the back of my mind. And as I'm finishing up here, it just kind of dawned on me about a month ago, like, oh, you're almost done with NTI, but you're not done. So, so yes, I will focus on that after I'm done here at NTI, and that will be my next step. So hoping to take that shortly after.
Well, good. And I don't know if you know, but NTI graduates have a 93% pass rate on that exam. So, you know, our curriculum prepares our students really well to be able to take that exam. So,
Yeah.
not that you don't have to study for it, but
Right, right.
at least nothing will come as a shock when you are taking the exam. You won't come across anything that you never heard of before.
Absolutely. It allowed me to take a breath on that one because I was like, oh, and then I'm like, oh.
Right. So, you know, going to school can be stressful. The workload can be stressful, particularly if you're doing 2 courses at a time. Do you have any advice about how to handle that stress load, or what things that you did for yourself?
Yeah, so like I said, I'm not currently working. I did for a short stint these past few months, and it all started to kind of unravel, and I started to realize I was falling behind for my own standards on coursework that I'm paying for, right? So if you have the opportunity to just do the program, I feel like that's been my biggest blessing, because I was able to take 2 courses most of the time at once, and really focus on the coursework. But if you're not, it's just going to take a little longer. But I think really being honest with myself and my instructors, it's different than anything I've done before, but not different. We're adults, right? So we're here because we want to be here, and all of the instructors that I've come across they're so dedicated to our success. So just being honest with them, and like I said, be honest with yourself. If you're at a crazy time of life where you need to scale it back a little bit, don't stop, but maybe do exactly that. Take care of you through the process.
Mhm.
So and be honest with your instructors, and they're willing to, work with you and help you in any way that they can. So so that's all I've done.
Yeah, good. So, any other kinds of stress reduction techniques that you use? You know, some people do meditation, yoga, um, watching funny movies, like, you know, anything that you can, any tips you can put out there?
Yeah, so I start my day actually with meditation. That is the one thing, and I myself I am religious. I'm Christian, and so mine is more geared towards meditating on scripture. But
Mhm.
I think meditation of all kinds is just, it changes the brain, right? It changes how we operate. So that's how I start my day. And then there's a little hustle and bustle getting the kids ready and out the door for school, which hasn't actually changed all that much in light of current events. We're still doing that for their mental health and sanity and our own. But as soon as I drop them off, I exercise too every day. And it just helps me start my day, like I said, on the best foot, because I consider NTI my job right now. So I put in probably 3 to 5 hours a day, just depending. That could be reading, that could be the online presentations, that could be actually going down to the school. So because that's my job, that's my scheduled time. So I start with that, and then like I said before, making time for your family, and yeah, anything that brings you joy, right? Do that.
Right.
so
Yeah.
so yeah, that's automatically stress reduction for me.
Yeah. Good. Good. Well, thank you so much, Michelle. This has been really fun to talk to you, and I appreciate hearing from a student's perspective. You know, I get some interaction with students on a daily basis, but don't get a chance to actually ask them pointed questions. So it's really
Yeah.
good to have that input. So, do you have anything else you'd like to add, or I mean, you know, you don't have to. I just thought if you had anything else you'd like to say.
No, just that you can do this. It it is laid out in such a way that even if you don't have a background in science or nutrition or healthcare or anything, it doesn't matter. You will learn from this. You will have a different knowledge base when you leave, something that you can take into the real world and work with, which is incredible. So, yeah, don't let yourself be discouraged away from doing this program. It's wonderful, wonderful.
Good. Well, thank you. So on that note, I will let you go for the rest of your day. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. And thanks for being a student at NTI.
Absolutely. Thanks, Diane. Have a great day.
Thanks. Bye.